There's a quick little video I'm going to make about my FBA fee and ROI calculator. So I figured I'd just do a quick little, show you very quickly how I use this, and then I'll dive in a little more detail. So this is this is the calculator that I use, that I made myself, that I use to type in the cost of goods sold, so the cost of manufacturing, the size of an item, and then it pops out how much freight, roughly how much freight should cost, roughly how much FBA fees should cost, roughly my margin, and then it has some little fancy analysis equations at the end. So I'll show you super quick, and I'll dive in a little bit more detail. So let's say I'm going to be selling an apple. Okay, whatever, it's terrible, don't sell this, but let's say it's a fancy green apple. I'm buying it for 25 cents. My packaging costs 10 cents. Okay, I'm looking at this line here. And I know, so the yellow is user input. Blue is the freight cost. Pink is the Amazon FBA fees. Green is the margin, the profit and stuff. And then gray here is kind of my analysis part. That gives me a little bit more insight in like where my numbers should be. So quickly, this apple is 35 cents. It's roughly 3 by 2 by 2 inches. I'm going to sell for a $7 retail price. Okay. I can come here to the very end and see that this apple is going to give me 75% of the total cost for me to sell this apple is going to be $5.80. Means I'm going to make $1 on each one. My margin is 16%, and my ROI is 75%. And ROI in this case is if I spend $1, I make $2, and which means that I profit $1. So invest $1, profit $1, 100% ROI. And then here, the analysis part, this is the part that I think is kind of really special about this spreadsheet. So I have, I'll zoom in so we can make sure we can see that. Okay, now we can dive in. So this apple, here's the analysis part, and I haven't really seen this type of analysis in other spreadsheets. That's why I'm kind of excited about this one. So my break-even cost to sell this apple, if I'm buying it for 35 cents, I need to sell it for at least $5.60. My price for 100% ROI, that means, invest $1, make $1. That's $7.46. If I want to get crazy and get 150% ROI, I need to sell it for about $8, 40 cents. And then this one is pretty cool. This is if I'm selling at a $7 retail price, how much must I buy it for from China? That's the cost of goods sold to have 100% ROI. And that's a little, hopefully that's not too complicated, but that's, if I'm selling for 7, I need to be able to buy it for 30 cents. Okay, so let's just go ahead and go through this in a little bit more detail. So I did organize all this stuff by color. Go into detail a little bit, and there is a key here. So I kind of have like yellow is user input, blue is freight cost, pink is FBA fees, whatever, you can read that. So let's just do an example here. We'll freeze top 2 rows. Okay, so hopefully we can see this well. So I'll just go with this guy here. This is, and this kind of a silly example, but I'm going to just say the freight cost. Oops. I'm going to say a crate of apples. Again, it's kind of weird to sell this, but just kind of for fun, right? Okay, so crate of apples. Let's say I'm buying it from China for $14. Let's say it's 12 bucks, right? $12. Packaging is $1. Okay, so my cost of goods sold, my manufacturing cost also, you could call it that, is $13. This product is 2 feet by 1.5 foot and then 6 inches tall. So it's kind of, box shaped, right? I'm gonna try and sell it for 75 bucks, and I'm buying 200 units, and my duty is the import tax, just to say this is one of the slight tariff tax one. Let's say that hopefully Trump has stopped his import tax thing. We're getting this one for like 3.5%. Okay. So my total volume, 200 units, 2 feet wide item, 200 units. I'm going to have 8 cubic meters. My total weight is 900 kilograms. This is an estimate, so make sure you be wary of this number, but roughly for my shipping cost is roughly $1,000. This is sea shipping. Roughly $1,000 plus $60 for every cubic meter after that. So in this case, it would be, whatever. You can play with the equations if you want to know a little more in detail how those things are calculated. I also have the marginal sea freight, and that might be a little confusing, so if this is a little confusing, just ignore it. It's not that important. But what I want to know is, if I'm already shipping a big shipping container from China, and I were to add this to the shipping container, what would be the extra cost? Okay, so I don't have to pay the $1,000 for the shipping container. Usually it's $1,000 plus like $60 for every cubic meter is roughly the cost. I don't have to pay that $1,000. I can just add it. I've already paid it on some other products, so I can just add it. So this is if I'm gonna, let's say I'm sourcing like my 9th item from the same supplier, right? Or I can piggyback on some other person's storage container. So that's a marginal sea freight per unit. This is manually entered. I do that just so you can kind of pick whatever number. So you can say, I just want to know the marginal sea freight on this one. Okay. Maybe you got a quote too, so I'm just going to say like maybe someone offered something like I don't know, $1,400, and yeah, let's say it was $1,400, and we have 200 units. So I can just type that in manually. $7. Yeah, okay, sure, let's go with that. This is the landed cost. That's the total cost you're going to pay. This is small, oversized. This size tier, this does auto-calculate. So you can poke around the equations if you want. They're pretty complicated and really not easy to follow. So just, double check this, but, it works pretty well. I've tested it a decent amount. So this is small, oversized, again, because it's over 18 inches. And the shipping's going to be about $11. Commission's $11. Commission's easy, it's 15% of the retail price, right? Shipping, that's also a super complicated equation. So if you want, you can play with it, but it's complicated. I just ignore it, the equation, and just hope that my math is not terrible. Storage fees, I use 1 month of regular season storage and 1 month of fourth quarter storage. I do it just to kind of have like a worst case scenario. You might not want to use this number and just kind of take the hit at Christmas. In that case, you just do 72 cents, right? You can type in your own thing. Just know that there is an equation here. So if you do that, you are blowing that equation away. But you can modify this any way you want. But also maybe you're so good you can only do 1 month of storage. So then maybe you say, well, the second month I don't care. Okay, whatever. Just leave it how it is. So my total fees to ship this thing is $25. That makes sense. It's big, right? So my total cost is $46, right? And my margin is going to be about $29. In this scenario, I'm selling it for $75, so my margin making about $30, 39% margin. And my ROI is 140%. This is a pretty good item. Okay, so the analysis, I'm going to see that my break-even price is $41. Okay, so if I wanted to liquidate, I could liquidate at that price and still break even. My retail price for 100% ROI, I need to sell for at least $65 to have 100% ROI. If I want to have a great margin, I have to sell for $77 to have 150% ROI. And my cost of goods sold okay, so this one's kind of cool. So if you found a product that you could sell for $75, I'll go back here, and this column here, selling for $75, and let's say we didn't know these prices, because maybe we're sourcing this product and we don't know the price yet. So it's question mark, right? I think that's going to kill my equations if we do that. So let's not put a question mark in. But yeah, if I don't know this yet, the cost of goods sold, and I know I can sell for $75 because like everyone else is selling for $75, how much, this column here tells me how much do my cost of goods sold have to be in order to make 100% ROI. So what you could do is find 20 products you want to sell, right? The low competition, whatever, the stuff that you do to find good items, and you go to a sourcing agent, or maybe you're a sourcing agent yourself, and you know if it's 8 inches by 8 inches and it's $35, what do I have to sell it at to get 100% ROI? Or sorry, what do I have to buy it at to get 100% ROI? And that's what this column is. So in this case, if that crate of apples that you sell for $75 is less than $17.36, you know you'll have 100% ROI. So I hope that isn't too complicated. I hope I didn't lose anybody on that one, but that's kind of like a fun equation. When you start playing with this, it starts being pretty nice to see what kind of stuff you can play with. And the nice thing is, because everything is completely automated, you just type in whatever you want for the yellow stuff. You can just see, like, well, what happens if my tax goes up to 28%? I get hit hard with the Trump thing. Okay, well, that's going to bump my margin. My ROI went from 140 down to 95%. So it's still a good item, but not as good as before, right? And we know that our cost of goods sold have to be less than $14 if that's our tax. Maybe what if I can sell? Maybe if I want to reduce the size a little bit, maybe I'm gonna make it like a smaller crate, and because of that, there's someone else selling kind of similar, and they're selling for $65. I'll say $69.95. Then I can jump onto the back and see I can still get an 80% ROI. And if I want to have if I want to have 100% ROI, I need to source this product for less than $12.60. Or I can bump my price up to $75.75. So that's how I use this calculator. I find it pretty useful, and I've never really seen anybody else use these equations. They're kind of complicated. Your algebra teacher was right. Algebra is useful. So that's just a whole bunch of silly equations in here that I made myself. So yeah, let me know if there's any questions or concerns on this thing. That my math is there's a lot. I tested this, but there's always room for mistakes. So and always room for improvement. So let me know if there's any mistakes on this, but it is tested decent amount. So yeah, and the link of this this spreadsheet will be in this video.